Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Well guys, this is my common observation. Some students, they over prepare themselves for IELTS exam, but when they go to take their IELTS test, they underperform. And I have also observed some students under prepare. Their preparation is not complete, or they prepare a little, but when they reach the exam center, they perform very well, they outperform, and as a result, they get better bench score. Now, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to tell you how to appear in IELTS exam, and the 3-hour period that you have in your examination room, how to spend that 3-hour period, and as a result, you will be able to get better bench score. Okay. Now, see, after all the formalities of headphones check and this and that and all that, they will put listening question booklets on your table, and after some time, the examiner will announce, the exam supervisor will announce that, okay, candidates, you can start your listening test. Now, when they start listening test, initially, they place some instructions. Like this, you're going to listen to a number of different recordings. You will have time to read the questions and check your answers. All the recordings will be played once only at the end of each section, blah, blah, blah. When they are giving instructions and you are allowed to open the question booklet, I want you, within few seconds, take a look at questions on part 1, questions on part 2, questions on part 3, and questions on part 4, and start reading part 4 questions. Read question 31, 32, 33, 34, and by the time you hear the announcement, section 1, now come back. And when you read the questions, if it is paper delivered IELTS, you need to underline, encircle what is written before the blank, what's the topic of the lecture, that is for part 4. Now when this is section 1, so when they start with section 1, they're going to give you half minute to read the questions. And if they say, you now have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now please read 1 to 5 carefully. And my listening videos tell you how to read the question. So you got to read 1 to 5 very carefully. Once you've read 1 to 5 and read them in this way that you spend all 30 seconds there. What do some students do? They read questions 1 to 5 in 5 seconds and then they're looking around. Good auditorium, pretty face, nice dress, nice sari. Something like that. Come on, grow up guys. You need to spend all 30 seconds or 20 seconds reading all the questions. Your focus should be on your question paper, not on someone's sari. Okay? Yeah, this is important. Now, after that, they will say you now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Read questions 6 to 10 the way I read. When you read the question, you should know what sort of word is going to be the answer. Is it going to be a number? Is it going to be a color? Is it going to be a place? And all that. Okay. Once this is done, then they will say that is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answer. Who wants to check answers? No, nobody wants to check answers because answers are there. You can check your answers when you transfer your answers to the answer sheet. After listening test, they will give you 10 minutes. Immediately when they say that is the end of part 1, jump to part 2 and start reading questions. If you see there are more multiple choice questions, and read the questions in sequence and read them carefully. Right? Now, after 30 seconds, when they say section 2 or part 2, you will already be there. You're going to listen to a conversation between this. You now have time to look at questions 11 to 15. When they say you now have some time to look at questions 11 to 15, you have already read the questions. If you do not understand any question, if there are multiple choice questions, read them carefully. Again, audio will be played in 2 parts in part 2, 11 to 15, 16 to 20. In the middle, there is 20-second break or 30-second break. Then they are going to say, that is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answer. Who wants to check answers? Okay? I mean, jump to part 3 because part 3 is heart of IELTS listening. Part 3 is the toughest part. Part 3 is where students have a lot of mistakes. Read the questions. If you find multiple choice with matching, read matching. And then they say, part 3. You're going to listen to a conversation between a tutor and students about this, then read the questions. So, you know, this thing is going to give you more time to read the questions, and this is how you'll find the answer. And when they say that is the end of part 3, you now have half a minute to check your answer, jump to part 4 and continue to read the questions after the questions which you have read already. For example, before the test, when the test started, if you would have read already 31, 32, 33, 34, don't read from there. Now read from 35, 36, 37. And when they say part 4, and then you're going to listen to a lecture about whale farming, something like that, okay? And then they say you now have some time to look at questions 31 to 40, and that time is around 1 minute. So if you understand the questions, if you read the question, then the way I read IELTS listening questions in my video, please read them like that, okay? At the end of the test, you'll say, you now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers, pick up the answer sheet, and now carefully transfer your answers. Now look at the spelling. Use all capital letters. Do not write outside the box. Do not write your G below the box, J below the box. Be very careful about all these things. So these are my tips for IELTS listening. You want tips for reading? Okay, no problem. I'll give you. Video is going to be long, but on your demand, I'm going to go on with this. Let's do it in one video. Now, after the listening test, they'll take away the question booklet, an answer sheet will stay on the table, and they'll give you the reading question booklet, and after that, they'll announce, candidates, you can start your reading test. Now, once they announce, pick up your reading test, take a look at the topic of section 1, questions, topic of section 2 and questions, topic of section 3 and questions, okay, and make up your mind. One topic is about marine life, one topic is about endangered species, and one topic is about food trivia or anything like that, okay? So now what you have to do, you need to know what are type A questions. Type A questions are where questions and answers are in order, and type B questions where questions and their answers, they are in random order, right? So type A questions are like every question type is type A. Apart from list of headings, which paragraph contains the following information, they are type B. Otherwise, most of the questions, they are type A. Now, they give you an order from 1 to 14. Like if there are questions like 1 to 13, they give you an order. Now, you are not supposed to follow that order. From questions 1 to 13 in part 1, see if there are any true, false, not given questions. See if there are any sentence completion sort of questions. Start from them. And if there is any, which paragraph contains the following information, do it at the end. List of heading, do it at the end, okay? So do type A questions first, and try to do part 1 in maximum 10 to 15 minutes, because questions and answers are in order. For each question, you will have to read one sentence only and you will find the answer. Once part 1 is over, immediately transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Very important. Several students complain they forgot to transfer the answers to the answer sheet because they had thought, like listening, we would be given 10 minutes extra, but no time was given, and as a result, they got 1 ban in reading. Oh gosh, okay, so they are brutal. They don't listen to anyone, okay? Now, part 1 answers are there. Now start with part 2. Again, identify type A questions, sentence completion, true, false, not given, multiple choice questions, okay? Matching type of questions. When we've got matching type of questions, questions are not in order, but options are in order. My videos shout everything. My videos shout a lot of tips. My academic videos on reading. See, I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Bottom is here, okay? Yeah. Anyways, okay. All right, let's go on. Now, you've done part 1. Now part 2, try to do sentence completion. If there is any true, false, not given, do it first. And if there is any which paragraph contains the following information, read the questions first, underline the clue words first, and retain the questions in your mind as you are doing other questions. You can do that as well. Then there is part 3. There may be list of headings. There may be other type of questions. So you can just go on for part 3. If they give you yes, no, not given, list of headings, summary completion. So do not follow the arrangement of questions they give you. You need to come up with your own arrangement. Always try to do sentence completion first, list of headings first, multiple choice questions first, summary completion first, yes, no, not given first. These questions need only one sentence to answer. Okay. Now, there are 2 reading skills. One is scanning and one is skimming. So I'll make separate videos on that. Otherwise, this video is going to be very long. You want me to explain? No, I'll explain in another video. Now, once you're reading, once you finish your part 2, immediately transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And part 3, write all your answers to the answer sheet, because for computer delivered you don't have to write answers anywhere, but for paper delivered you have to do that. So for part 3, write your answers directly on the answer sheet. And when exam supervisor says, candidates, stop writing, you should drop your pen and sit like this. Believe you me, if you try to write anything, one of my students, she kept writing. Invigilator came and she removed the last 3 answers. Okay, so be careful. It's Cambridge. It's not like us, our exams. Sir, please grab the paper from her. Sir, please grab the paper from him. And we keep writing unless they come and snatch. They will not snatch, but they will ban you for 2 years, and this is how your future will be snatched. Okay. Writing is over. If you need to go to the loo, you can go during 10 minutes. They give you to transfer your answers to the answer sheet in listening. And then you have to control your bladder for 1 hour. One of my students just sent me a message today that he had to go to the loo during listening test. Oh my God. Why do you guys drink coffee and tea and plenty of water? I would say, a couple of hours before your IELTS exam, don't drink water. Dehydrate yourself for a couple of hours. Otherwise, now, what happened with that student? Went to the loo during the listening test. They didn't allow, but he said, well, otherwise I'm going to do it here. Then will you be all right? Huh? Then they said, okay, run. And when he came back, he had missed 5 to 6 questions. Okay. Now, let's talk about writing. When they give you writing question paper, when they allow you to touch the question paper, first of all, you're going to take a look at task 2. Identify the type of essay. Read the topic. Say, aha, I got opinion essay. Aha, that is Sheila, not Sheila. That is discussion essay. Aha, this is problem solution essay, Tina. All right, Sheila, Tina, Meena, whoever. So you need to identify. If you do not identify Tila, Sheila, Meena, then you are going to be confused, and as a result, they will actually play your band. Okay. Anyways, just joking. So you need to identify the type of essay. Number 1. Number 2, you need to read question prompt 3 times. Now, this is the time in the very first minute of your IELTS writing test, you are identifying the type of essay, you are reading the topic of the essay 3 times, and you are just thinking what is included in the scope of this essay and what is excluded. The words that they give you, I call them the big words. The words that they give you, verbs, nouns, adjectives, these words will tell you what is it that you have to write on and what should be the scope. What is it that you have to cover in your essay? You don't want to write off the topic because there is very serious penalty if you write anything off the topic. Okay. Now, after this, what happens? The next thing. Come back to task 1. You are not going to start with task 2. One of my students who started with task 2, it took him 50 minutes to complete his essay and he had 10 minutes and then he was like this, oh God, 10 minutes, task 1, oh gosh. Task 2 is equal to 6 band, task 1 is equal to 3 band. So no matter you write very good essay, you cannot get more than 6, okay? So you're going to read the topic of essay, then you'll come back to task 1, read the topic, understand the topic and identification of the topic. If it is a letter, which letter is it? Is it opinion or discussion? Is it formal, semi-formal, informal? If they give you report writing, you need to understand, it's a process diagram, or no, it is a graph with a trend, it's comparative graph, or it is map, okay? So you need to identify, and once you identify, there should be a complete plan in your mind because I've covered all these things in my video. There should be a complete plan. All right, I need to write on graph with the trend. So I'll write 3 parts: introduction, overview, and a couple of body paragraphs. So you should know about that, okay? Then start with writing task 1 and try to do it as early as possible and jump to task 2, and don't forget to proofread your essay. I've noticed some of my students, they told me, sir, through proofreading, I corrected many spelling errors. I crossed many T's, I dotted many I's through proofreading. So and one of my students said, sir, I did all the punctuation during proofreading. Right? So you need to proofread, and once you proofread, I mean, you should have at least the last 5 to 7 minutes to proofread. And when you proofread, do not try to change your answer. Do not say that I will write this sentence. Yes, if it is computer delivered, you can do it. You can copy paste, you can edit, you can do all that. But if it is paper delivered, don't try to erase it and rewrite it and all that. So this is how you need to take your IELTS test. And if you follow all these instructions, believe you me, with little preparation, you will do magic in your actual IELTS test. That's all. Thank you so much. I also teach IELTS and PTE online and on campus, right? If you wish to be the part of my IELTS or PTE classes, and we book IELTS exams in Pakistan as well. If you don't know how to get the test date and how to book your exam, my WhatsApp number is given. You can contact me for that. Asad Yaqub truly wishes you all the best. Take care. Allah Hafiz.